What's up guys, it's Manga time once again. I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 635, Hooded Enigma. And this is a really great chapter that happens to have come out on Ichigo's birthday, which is kind of funny. Since we're not supposed to get Bleach till tomorrow, but you know, whatever. So this is obviously now following on from the Basby-Haschwalth fight, and as I expected, we're getting to see now what everyone else is up to. And I kind of thought we'd just see Gerard Valkyrie. He was the one I kind of thought we would go to next, and we kind of do, but not quite like that. So it actually starts off with Liltotto and Giselle, and once again, as we expected, they have both gone to assault Yhwach. And so Liltotto's just kind of standing there, and she's like, I can't believe Basby got beaten after, you know, Basby apparently told them, you know, just let me fight Haschwalth one-on-one. And so we do see a slight pool of blood, and, you know, that's not good. Honestly, it does kind of surprise me. I did think they'd go after Yhwach, but I thought he might be sleeping at this point. But it seems like he's just about to go to sleep. And we then get to see Liltotto, and she's just got blood pouring out of her. Giselle is slumped on the floor, presumably dead. That's a bit of a shame, actually. I won't deny that it's a bit of a shame, because Giselle is literally one of my favourite Sternritter. And I like Liltotto a lot as well. And the fact that, I mean, it was obvious they were going to get crushed if they went up against Yhwach. But the fact they were off screen, that's a bit disappointing. It's interesting that they haven't been, like, blown up. Like, because Yhwach, I would have thought would have just done the finger thing, but instead it looks like they've been slashed. It's kind of hard to say because we didn't see the fight. Yhwach doesn't have one single eye. He does still have all the eyes going on, which is a bit odd. But yeah, Liltotto's like, it's a pity that we couldn't even put a scratch on you, and then she collapses to the ground next to Giselle as Yhwach turns his back on them. And I gotta say, it's a bit of an anticlimactic ending to the whole little rebel subplot. Basby's fight with Haschwalth was really good, the payoff was really nice there, but then Liltotto and Giselle were just kind of like, Yhwach will just obliterate them. And, I don't know, I guess I kind of maybe expected a bit more. I hope they're not dead, because those two are, by far, two of the best Sternritters. And it's going to be really weird if Kubo literally finishes the series and no Sternritter is alive, because that's just going to feel, I'm not sure that's going to feel right, because I feel like some of the Quincy have to survive, but that's only because I feel like Soken's dream of the Quincy and the Shinigami coming together to work together and live in peace is how the series is going to end, but I don't see how that's going to happen if there are no Sternritter left. So yeah, we'll see what happens in regards to that. However, Yhwach sits himself down on his throne, and he says to Liltotto's body, he's like, I thought you'd never shut up, you know, now I can finally take my nap. And so now he's going to go to sleep. So it looks like Liltotto and Giselle may have just missed their window of opportunity to get Yhwach. He then falls asleep, and as he falls asleep, the eyes on his face, they seem to disappear, and they reappear in Haschwalth's eyes. Haschwalth now has the Almighty. So while it's nighttime, he can see the future. It's interesting because he says, you know, it's such a cruel and callous power, Your Majesty, the ability to see the future. And as he says that, he has like this kind of ominous face. It almost looks like he's smiling, but maybe not quite. But clearly, I think this clearly means that Haschwalth has seen something in the future that is either bad for the Quincy or bad for the Shinigami. Either way, it's bad because, you know, he's like, as soon as he gets the power, he's like, oh, such a cruel power to be able to see into the future, implying that it's cruel for him that he's been able to see what's coming. So yeah, I'm not sure what entirely to make of that, but it's interesting nonetheless. We then get to cut over and we do see Gerard, and at this point I was like, oh, okay, yeah, so it is going to be just Gerard Valkyrie. Presumably he's going to come up against Kenpachi, and it will be exactly as I predicted. Luckily that's not the case. Gerard comes across a dead end, which I think is interesting. In the manga stream translation, and kind of in the original translation as well, it makes it seem like Gerard was purposefully sent to an area where there was no one by the other guys. Because he's like, you know, there's no one here. And he's like, you know, Lille, Pernida, Naklavar, you guys are fucked when I get my hands on you. And that's interesting because that does imply that the others sent him to there. That also implies that Askin was looking for a fight, which doesn't quite correlate with what we see in a minute and what we've seen already. So, you know, Askin, I definitely think, has this kind of other layer going on underneath him, and hopefully that'll come out a bit later on. But, you know, it was nice to see Gerard a little bit, and that basically is Kubo's way of saying, I'm saving Gerard for later on in the fight, and his power is going to be later on in the fight. We then cut over to Ichigo and the others. Curiously, Yoruichi's not there. I still think she'll end up fighting Pernida later on. But anyway, they've lost Askin and Grimmjow. They've completely lost sight of them. And basically, you know, they're going to split up and try and find them. And watching them from above is Askin. I tell you, Askin's so great. He's definitely my favourite Sternritter, and easily one of my favourite characters. He's just so funny. Like now, he pulls a flask out of nowhere and starts drinking coffee. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, he's sitting there and he's like, oh man, you know, Kurosaki, Ichigo, and the raving lunatic. You know, this is great. What the hell am I supposed to do? And he starts pouring himself this drink, and he's like, I never expected to bump into these guys straight away. And then he says, you know, I'm going to catch my breath, have a coffee, and just come up with a plan. So, like I said, it's interesting that Askin apparently doesn't want to fight them, yet he must have sent Gerard to the wrong place, if Gerard's translation is to be believed. I do think it's quite funny, though, that Askin wasn't really expecting any of this. Like, he was just randomly promoted to the Elite Sternritter and is now part of the final battle, and to him he's probably like, fucking hell, what the hell am I doing here? You know, he's probably like, oh my god, how am I supposed to keep up with all this? Which I think is ironic, because I'm pretty certain he's one of, if not the strongest Sternritter there. But anyway, you get this really funny bit now where he starts pouring his coffee, and as he's pouring it, you see Grimmjow's behind him, and he just throws his coffee and does another runner. Which is hilarious, and Grimmjow's like, I'm not going to lose you this time, now I've finally caught up to you again. And this is great. This is so good, this bit, because, you know, Askin's like, oh, Matt, just let me go, alright, just let it slide, you can have this, and he throws something at Grimmjow. And I tell you what, this is the mindset that Askin puts me in as a reader, because he's just so goofy. Just from this page, where he flings it behind him, and it's still quite a small picture, from the cross-hatching tone, and the fact that there's like drops of something coming off it, I thought he was throwing a waffle at Grimmjow. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought because it's Askin, he's so freaking weird. He just had a coffee on him. I thought he threw a waffle at him, and he was like, sorry, you know, take that. But no, you get to see what it is on the next page. It's much clearer, and it's actually one of those strange vortexes that we saw in chapter 543, which is awesome. Because back then, when Bazby and Haschwalth were about to have a showdown, this vortex appeared. And then Askin appeared for the very first time when you actually saw his face. And, you know, since then, everyone's thought maybe Askin's power is portals, doorways. And then when we found out he was Death Dealer, he was poison, it was like, what the so has Kubo just forgotten about this vortex thing? So it's so cool, actually, we finally get to see what it is. Basically, Askin's like, it's a gift, you know, go on, it's all yours, take it. But gift, by the way, being German for poison, which is a really, really nice play on words, actually. But, you know, Grimmjow being an idiot and basically doing exactly what I thought he was going to do, which is run into Askin's trap, runs straight at the orb, and he's like, you know, a gift, as if I'd fall for an attack like that, and he slashes away and shatters the orb. As he does so, however, he then collapses to the ground. He falls off a building and, like, lands on another one by the looks of things. And then Kubo's got this very random art error. He draws a foot, and it's Askin's foot, because Askin's talking, yet that is definitely not Askin's shoe. I don't know if Kubo forgot that he's drawn Askin's shoe before or something, but, you know, whatever. And I'd tell you another art thing that looks like an art error, but might not be. That might just be the fact that you can't really fit it in. Is when Grimmjow's falling, it doesn't look like he's got a shirt on anymore, but I'm sure he probably does. Askin's foot, however, is an art error. Askin has black shoes with steel-capped toes and heels. That is just a random shoe that I don't know why Kubo's drawn it. But whatever. It's just a shoe. Anyway, Askin then explains that his gift ball attack is actually a ball loaded with poison. And then he's like, you know, I take it your mother never told you to accept gifts from strangers. It might be the death of you. And I love that. Askin's so great, and he appears to have taken Grimmjow down almost immediately. I think all of us expected Grimmjow to run into Askin's trap. And hopefully Askin's smart enough just to finish him off, but let's be honest, he obviously won't. Grimmjow is clearly not down. I really hope this doesn't happen, but I can see it happening. I can see Grimmjow standing up and being like, poison, I'm a hollow, my Reiatsu's poisonous to you, your attacks don't work on me. I could see that happening, and that'd be bullshit, but I can see it happening. But that's all we get from Askin and Grimmjow this week. We then cut over to the main Gote group, and once again, another prediction I got right, and basically everyone else got right, is that Lil Barrow would be trying to snipe them. Lil Barrow actually gets shit done as well. He's watching them all run, and basically he's monologuing to himself, saying, you know, their forces, they're spreading themselves too thin, and some of them are going to be, you know, some of these guys are not going to be as capable as the rest of them, and so some of them will fall behind. Rather surprisingly, it's Hisagi who falls behind, and Lil Barrow just snipes him out. He completely fucks him up. Basically, Lil Barrow, he shoots him here, but because Lil's attack is the perforation of all things, it goes straight through without stopping. So basically, he shoots him here, and it comes out down here, so he annihilates everything in a diagonal stripe like that. So maybe Hisagi's dead? That would be kind of shit, though, because Hisagi's supposed to have a Bankai, and Kubo really doesn't want to show it. Kubo really doesn't want to show it. But I think it's pretty crazy that, you know, Grimmjow's down, Hisagi's down already. You know, and Hisagi has been left behind, by the looks of things. And, you know, you might be forgiven for thinking, well, hold on, they could just realise that Hidrayatsu's disappeared. But we already know that the Quincy have filled the area with high-density Reiatsu and Reishi, so it kind of messes with the Shinigami senses. So presumably Hisagi's just going to get left behind, and maybe he is actually dead, which would be mental. There's absolutely no reason for Lil Barrow to leave him alive, because Lil Barrow should now shoot him in the head and finish him off. I don't know why he didn't shoot him in the head to start with, but yeah, so Hisagi is in serious trouble. And Lil Barrow is like, you know, all living things die when they get separated from their pack. All I do is bide my time, and I take them off one by one. And I love that, because I've really wanted that to happen, because it's just clever. It's clever. Lil Barrow, he's literally sitting on top of a building, picking them off. And one thing I like that this arc has done, better than the Uranka arc in my opinion, lots of things in my opinion, but it's actually effectively showing us the bad guy's powers. Take, for example, Barragan's Respirar, okay? The thing with the Hollows is they never killed anyone. They were never able to do massive, massive damage. So Barragan's Respirar, although an awesome attack, only ever took off someone's arm. But back then that was like, holy crap, because that was like the highest severity of an injury a Shinigami got back then. Unless you're Maximoto and you got your side ripped out. But now, like, Lil Barrow's blasted Oetsu through the heart, and now he's blasted Hisagi basically through his entire body. So it's cool getting to see the, you know, the proper effects of some of these abilities. But again, we don't stay with Lille, we then move over to Pernida. And I love the fact we get to see every Elite Sternritter this chapter. In case you can't tell, I really like this chapter. It's thoroughly enjoyable. So yeah, Pernida's just kind of standing there. And once again, Pernida's tiny. And I had this theory that she can't move, but clearly she can, otherwise she wouldn't have found them. But anyway, yeah, it's actually Kenpachi and Mayuri, which I thought was an interesting choice. I really hope Mayuri doesn't lol science his way out of this. Anyway, so Kenpachi's like, what the hell is that thing? And there's a bit of banter between them. And Kenpachi's like, you know, let's just screw it, I'm going to go and kill him. And Kenpachi tries to slice Pernida. As he does, Mayuri's like, wait, Zaraki. And it's actually kind of interesting that he has concern for Kenpachi. I think that's quite interesting. Kenpachi does slice Pernida, but before he continues, he notices that Mayuri has, you know, shouted to him, so he bounces backwards. And I like the fact that Kenpachi actually listens to Mayuri as well. I think this little pairing between them could actually give them some decent character development. Again, it's very interesting to note that Kenpachi's sword has a sheath now, which is cool. But anyway, you know, apparently Pernida has broken Kenpachi's arm. It's been warped like Yoruichi's was, which is really fucking bad. Like, Pernida is so powerful. And, you know, Kenpachi's like, oh, he only got one of my arms. But literally, they've only just met him, and Kenpachi's sword arm has been shredded. Presumably, Kenpachi won't be able to fight with that arm anymore, but it is Kenpachi, so I don't really know. He might just put his sword in his other arm, or Mayuri will somehow heal him as he's going along, but again, I'd be very surprised, actually. I'll give my prediction for where some of these fights are going in a minute. Anyway, Kenpachi has actually slashed Pernida down the face, however, and is like, you're supposed to think it's blood shooting out. I'm not sure it is, though. Kenpachi's like, I managed to get him in the face. And then the cape appears to be falling apart, and it's like, oh crap, we're going to see what Pernida actually looks like. But no, not quite. Kubo's teasing us again. Rather than seeing what Pernida looks like, her hood suddenly, like, explodes outwards, and it, like, inflames. And these very strange, like, veins or roots are coming out of her head, and they're also coming out of the bottom of her cloak and creeping across the floor. I definitely think Pernida could be some kind of shadow monster, some kind of virus, like a plant or something like that, maybe I'm thinking now as well. I really hope Kubo has something cool planned for Pernida, because she's by far and away one of the most unique characters we've ever seen in Bleach. And I really hope that whatever's under that hood is thoroughly interesting. But the chapter basically ends with Kenpachi and Mayuri basically staring at Pernida as Pernida's head is like going mental. And Kenpachi's like, what the hell is that? And that's the end of the chapter. And in case you can't tell, I've really liked it this week. So before we move on, I'm going to slap a 5 out of 5 on this week's chapter, guys. It is as good as it can get for me. Seeing all the Elite Sternritter doing their thing was great. They need more panel time. These guys are cool characters who need to be seen more often. The fact that they're playing smart, I love. Lil Barrow taking people out from a little perch, Askin luring Grimmjow into his gift ball trap, and Pernida just being overpowered as usual is awesome. Not to mention the fact that we got the stuff with Yhwach at the beginning, taking down Liltotto and Giselle. Possibly my only disappointment, but it wasn't big enough to detract from the rest of it. Something that is a bit weird is that Kubo, with at least a couple of characters in this arc, has been doing this thing where he's kind of like, they can't die. Oh, but now they're dead. So, like, Giselle is like this zombie who apparently can't be killed, because, like, Mayuri was like, oh, I'm surprised you're alive, and now apparently she's dead. Askin was the same. He was like, oh, I can't die, when Oetsu, like, cut his throat or whatever. Askin was like, I'm still alive, and I can't be killed. Next chapter, he was dead. So, it's a bit weird the way Kubo does that. I just hope those two are still alive. I really do. But even that, like I said, can't take away from this chapter. Obviously, then there's Haschwalth getting the Almighty as well. I feel like someone's going to come up against Haschwalth tonight, and it's going to be tough because he's going to be more powerful, obviously. So we'll see. So I really liked this week's chapter, actually. I actually think that Pernida might defeat both Kenpachi and Mayuri. I could possibly see that happening. Kubo seems to be setting up, in my opinion, for the Shinigami to take a big fall. What with Hisagi already going out of it, presumably. And I can just see Yhwach showing up to stop Pernida. So I really am excited for what comes next. And presumably it'll be on the right day next week. But let me know in the comments below, guys, what you thought of this week's awesome Bleach chapter. Do you like the Elite Sternritter? Do you like the current matchups we've got? What's your favourite matchup that we've got so far? And what are you most interested in seeing? Do you think Liltotto and Giselle are dead? Leave me your comments in the comment section below. Leave me your thoughts on the chapter. I'd really appreciate it, and I'd love to see it. And also, guys, please subscribe as always. I'd really appreciate that too. But until next time, guys, see you later.